We've had a lot of people come to us recently and say they want to set their business up somewhere. They want to create a new commercial premises. Where do they go? Where do they even start to look? Well, if this sounds like you, then stick around, because in this video, we're going to cover off each of the 5 options that you have and the pros and cons to each one. First things first, I want to give a massive shout out to Tyson, because he was the one that came to me with this content idea. Now, like I said, in my opinion, you have 5 different options. The first one is pretty obvious. You can move into an existing commercially zoned premises. You could move into Indooroopilly Shopping Centre. You can move into Chermside Shopping Centre. You can move into one of those commercial strips at like Alderley. The pros of that is obviously that it is instant. You can move in straight away without the requirement for any additional council approvals. The other benefit is that normally you have parking or access to a large amount of parking, which is obviously good for you, your staff and your clients. The con, and I know I'm not stating anything people don't know here, is dollars. You will pay a premium price to be in those locations. So the pro is that it's instant, you can move in right away, you've got good parking. The con is obviously the cost, they're expensive. Option number 2, CCB, commercial character building. Now these are like the old corner stores. You find them dotted around the older residential areas. If you go down Windsor Road at Red Hill, you'll find 3 or 4 of them. So they're basically commercial buildings that were built prior to 1946 and therefore that have been allowed to stay ever since. The pros of that is, like this, instant. You can move in straight away. The con, like this, they're not normally quite as expensive because they're not in those prime sort of locations, but you will still pay big bucks for those sites. The other con is usually parking. If you think, like I said, they were originally started or created back prior to 1946. Most people didn't own cars back before that time. If you didn't own a car, you didn't need car parking spaces. So these sites were developed without providing for cars, which now means obviously people end up on the streets. There's not that accessibility to car parking. The other con is you can't operate restaurants and cafes from these uses, or these properties I should say, without getting council approval. So if you want what's technically called a food and drink outlet, you need to get council approval. I can tell you now, you won't get it. Council is very, very strict on their parking requirements for food and drink outlets, and like we've established up here, the parking bays just simply don't exist on these sites. Same principle applies if you're looking to extend. So if the existing building isn't big enough to cater for your use and you intend to do an extension to it, you need to make sure that extension complies with current parking requirements. The parking rates are ridiculously high. I can tell you now, you just won't do it, don't bother. So as a result, you can't do food and drink outlets and you can't do extensions. I think that's about the only cons. Price, yeah, that's about it. Now we move to HB, home business. Now the pro of this is that you get locations, or opportunities is probably a better way to describe it. Home businesses can be operated from pretty much every single residential premises around the city. That obviously means you have a lot more opportunities. You can operate them from your own house, which obviously is going to mean a lot less money. So the pros, let's go reduced cost and opportunities in terms of locations. You can go pretty much anywhere. The cons, now let's start with 50 meters squared, 1 NRE, I will explain these, don't worry, and 1 CUS. What am I trying to say? Okay, your usage area is limited to a maximum of 50 square meters. You can't use more of the building or more of the outdoor areas than 50 square meters. 1 non-resident employee, bit of a mouthful. You can only have 1 staff member on site at any one time, unless they live on the property, that's different. But if you're the one living in the house, you can only have 1 employee on site at any one time. 1 customer. You can only have a single customer waiting on or near the premises at any one time. If you're even most small businesses can't even comply with these requirements. 50 square meters is typically not too hard to comply with. Usually when you're operating an office, there's a few desks, it's nothing crazy. But if you're limited to 1 employee and 1 customer, That's usually the deal breaker for people. So like I said, the pros are the fact that you can open up pretty much anywhere across the city. You got reduced costs because you're normally living in the premises anyway, but you're limited in terms of the size of the use area. That's normally what gets everyone. Now, option number 4, small scale, non-residential. The pros, not quite how am I going to do this? Let's just go opportunities. Some. I know that's the approximate symbol, but let's call it the sum symbol for now. So there's some opportunities. There's a lot more opportunities here than you find with these ones because you can operate them from most residential premises around the city. If I have to pull a figure out of my head, let's say 70% of residential premises. No, actually it'd be less. Let's go 30%. I'm clearly making this up on the spot. 30% of residential sites around the city can be used for this purpose here. So there's more opportunities than these guys, but less than this one here. Now, the other pro is, okay, let's go 250 meters squared. You're limited to a maximum use area of 250 square meters. That's a lot bigger. There's also no limitations. Let's go unlimited. You can understand my shorthand, right? Unlimited in terms of the number of employees and customers, which is great. So this one here overcomes a lot of the issues that we had over here. The downside, infrastructure charges. Brisbane City Council imposes infrastructure charges. It's typically between $100 and $200 per square metre. Most of the jobs that we've looked at over the last few years, they generally add up to about $10,000 to $15,000. That's a lot of money when you're starting a business. That unfortunately can kill a lot of people. Not literally, you get what I'm saying, but it kills the deal. Now the other one that people typically get caught on is parking, and let's just skip ahead and write the second one at the same time, roads. The parking requirements need to stack up with council's current rates. More often than not, people struggle to get the required car parking on those sites. The other thing is you can't locate these sites, or these uses I should say, on sites that are located on arterial roads. So our major road networks, think Milton Road, think Gympie Road, things like that. They have to be located on district or suburban roads, our medium-sized roads. They can't be located on local roads, so the suburban roads. So just to go back again, just to make sure you got that concept, it can't be on the major roads, the arterial roads. It can't be on the small local suburban roads. Suburban's technically not the right term. Let's stick with local roads. It needs to be on the district, those middle-sized roads. So generally when I get these inquiries, the first thing I look at is the road, because more often than not, people are looking at arterial roads because obviously there's more eyes driving past the site on the arterial roads. So they're the ones that people are naturally drawn to. And the other thing is people tend to go for the really quiet streets because where properties are cheaper. Unfortunately, like I said, they need to be on those medium-sized properties. The other thing to keep in mind is that you can't position them within close proximity to existing commercially zoned premises. So if you've got an existing commercial shopping centre just next door, or if your neighbour has got approval for a small-scale non-residential use, so if they've beaten you to it and already got approval for this thing, unfortunately that screws you, because council doesn't want to encourage the continual creep of shopping centres. You look along Gympie Road, it's just this whole strip of commercial the whole way along pretty much. That's what council's trying to prevent. So there you go. Benefits, obviously unlimited usage, more opportunities, negatives in terms of the fact that you've got to comply with car parking rates, and you've got to find sites that aren't near existing commercial uses and are on the appropriate sized roads. Now the fifth option, I almost didn't include this one because it's not really an option, but for the sake of completeness, I'll talk about it. The fifth option is to lodge an application with council. Oh, and I should just say, small-scale non-residential uses trigger an application to council. So you've also got the cost there. Let's just add that one in. Application costs. So you may be looking at, I'm going to throw figures out here, 10, 15, 20 grand by the time you pay for the private town planner, the council fees, the proposal plans, maybe an acoustic report, all of that sort of stuff. So you've got to add all those costs up. The final option, getting back on track, is to lodge an application that seeks to break some of these rules. So to go over 50 square metres, or to have more than one non-resident employee, or to go on one of the major arterial roads, or to go next door to an existing commercial centre. I can tell you now, you're wasting your time and money. Do not even bother. I literally will not lodge an application for this sort of thing here because I know I'm wasting your time and money. and that's going to backfire on me in the long run. I don't want that on my name. So there you go. Just to recap, you've got 5 different options. We start at the top at possibly one of the most expensive and exclusive sort of options, hard to work with ones. You step down, this one's obviously the easiest in terms of finding the sites, and you don't need approval for it, you can just start operating straight away. Problem is you are limited in terms of size, which that's normally what gets everyone. Commercial character buildings, if we go back a step, it's normally, they're harder to find, they're slightly expensive. People always want to do cafes out of them. I'm forever telling people, don't lodge an application like that. You won't get approval because the car parking doesn't stack up. Then you come down here, we've obviously got more flexibility in terms of size, but you start to get extra costs, extra parking requirements. That's usually what kills things. And the final option, we're not even going to talk about because it's not an option. There you go. That's all I had to say. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, comment and share below because that will tell me that I'm onto a winner and I'll keep making more of these videos. Otherwise, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no actually, I've got 3. Number 1, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number 2, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.